is united under one country. So I did the same scenario with Africa, and it wasn't a long video, but I'm expecting this to be a long video. I left Russia with Kaliningrad, and I left Turkey having this peninsula in Europe. So Europe's first move as a united nation will be against Russia, because the European nations don't like Russia. So obviously they would first attack the Russians. So first we're gonna look at Kaliningrad. I know Kaliningrad is fairly defensed part of Russia, but now with all of Europe under one flag, and that means every army together, Kaliningrad will be fully taken over, and they'll start an invasion into Russia, as going in from this coast right here, this border, as Finland also starts entering from this area with all of this army, as they fully capture the Kola Peninsula, and they make a few landings into this area of Russia. Moscow is somewhere here or here. As they start getting closer to Moscow, they fully capture this area of Russia. Russia will end up getting all of their military and start pushing back a little bit, pushing back into the Kola Peninsula. As they start getting back this area, but right after that we see a giant blitzkrieg to Moscow, and after Moscow is captured, the Russians will surrender. So let's look at this peace treaty. So this is the peace treaty. They give Europe takes parts of Russia and Kaliningrad and makes the western parts a very European aligned government, or a democracy, if that's how I say, and gives this area of Russia to Georgia and Azerbaijan, because they don't count this area as European. So since they do that, Georgia and Azerbaijan ends up becoming allies with Europe. So now Europe will attack another nation with a weird puzzle piece next to its border, and that nation is Turkey. As Europe now declares war on Turkey, and the European troops they just want this area of Turkey, Constantinople, this area, so they fully capture that and offer Turkey a peace deal, and Turkey will accept. So let's look at this peace deal. So that area fully becomes European, and now Europe will gain another big ally, which that ally will be the USA, as the United States is recently very close to European politics, and now Europe will attack another nation, as now Greenland is independent, as they declare war on Iceland. And right after this, Greenland will also declare war on Iceland. As the Europeans go from their British port and start attacking Iceland. Since Greenland is closer to Iceland, they'll start moving their troops into Iceland. And since Iceland doesn't have a military, this will be a fast war, as now Greenland and Europe fully divide Iceland in two. So let's look at this peace treaty. This is the peace treaty. Greenland takes the eastern parts of Iceland and Europe takes the western parts. So now Europe wants to go back to their old roots of colonization, as right after this war, Europe will be attacking a few African nations. So now a lot of people are getting suspicious of Europe, because now Europe declares war on these two nations. As right after that, we see a Middle Eastern pact be signed to, definitely it won't have Iran, to stop Europe from going more into the Middle East. Egypt also joined because people count Egypt as Middle Eastern. So let's look at this. As right after Europe go from the Gibraltar port and start going into Morocco, as they fully capture Morocco. And from this island right here, they start slithering to Algiers, and after Algiers is captured, we see Algeria surrender because that's their only capital, as they have desert on the bottom of them and no one likes desert. So I'll be back with the peace treaty. This is the peace treaty. Algeria and Morocco is now united as one nation, and now Africa is getting a little bit more worried about this war, so more African nations will join. These include Libya and Tunisia. As now Europe doesn't know where to go for its next war, so now Europe is gonna go to the ally which they fought with, Greenland, as they declare war on Greenland. As they go from their as they go from their Iceland border, they start going in to more of Iceland and fully capturing more of Iceland, and start going farther in Greenland, as they are going through the cold areas, as they split the more populated areas of Greenland to the underpopulated areas. And the northern part of Greenland fully surrenders because now the southern parts are being squeezed out, as the coast is greatly attacked. As Greenland tries to do a simple pushback, it succeeds a little bit. But right after, Nuuk is captured and Greenland loses. So let's look at this peace treaty. Peace treaty. Europe ends up giving Greenland to the United States of America, and they end up taking Iceland. As now, Europe has nowhere to go as they're surrounded from each side. As they try to go, saying no, Europe has nowhere to go as they think of invading Kazakhstan for the European parts, but Kazakhstan ends up capturing of this plan, and before they even invade, Kazakhstan ends up giving them the European part. As right after that, we see a full-on declaration of war by the Europeans to this alliance, as they now can get more of Turkey and more of Africa. As they start going into Turkey and fully capturing Turkey's capital, and right after going into Syria, as Iraq is very defended, as they capture Jordan and start moving more into Iraq. As right after this, Iraq gets fully captured, and Egypt will be now being moved in by the European army, as Cairo is captured, and they start going by the Nile, going to capture the major cities as they do that. And this area, as right after that, this area of Egypt is left alone, as it's just desert, but they try to push back, gaining a simple hold as they capture the northern parts of Libya, as now they leave the southern areas, it is just desert, and Tunisia is fully captured. So with Egypt and Libya surrendering, that will be the end of this alliance. So let's look at this peace treaty. As this is the peace treaty, Europe takes all of these areas: Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Azerbaijan ends up getting this area, as they capture Egypt, Egypt and the northern parts of Libya, and Egypt and Libya ends up doing the smart thing here and uniting under one government. And right after that, we see these two nations. As that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. If you like the video, like and subscribe. You can always unsubscribe anytime. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.